Let's go to the Melbourne Council. Mary Beck, you might know it if you're Victorian as Moreland Council, changed its name. It made a decision last night. It endorsed a motion to fly the Palestinian flag for 6 months, they say, and I'll use their words, in recognition of genocide being carried out against Palestinians in Gaza. One of the councillors, Oscar Yildiz, he didn't support the motion, and he has since now received death threats against himself and his family. Have a listen.
Last night's motion, it's caused, threats. I'm talking about really serious threats now, and just stuff about my family. I hope the plane that you're on crashes. And they're saying, inshallah. So they're saying, God willing, you will die in a plane.
The point he's making, Patrick, he said it's just virtue signalling. He said we're a local government. We've got all the local government things in the Constitution to do and to fix. We have nothing to do with foreign policy. He didn't support it on those grounds, but now he's copping this.
Well, it's dreadfully unfair, Peter. I mean, I know Oscar. He's a good man. He's an honourable man, and he's getting death threats. This is grandstanding of the highest order. Who's going to listen to a local council from the other side of the world talk about boycotting Israel and this sort of hateful rhetoric? And it is moving the goalposts, as you were saying earlier. All this sort of anti-Semitic type sort of rhetoric at the moment is going unchecked, and people like poor old Oscar are suffering for it in these really dreadful ways. I haven't seen this before in Australia. It really is an uncertain time, and the next few weeks we really do need to tackle this sort of grandstanding, because it really is dangerous.
There's a lack of leadership in Michael McLaren, though, from the Prime Minister. Honestly, yes, he made some comments in the early aftermath of the atrocities now about a month ago, but we've got businesses today. There's been a boycott campaign against Spotlight and Chemist Warehouse. Both are owned or connected to Jewish families. People are saying, don't go and support those stores. We've got 102 Holocaust survivors out there saying we didn't think we would live to ever see this level of anti-Semitism again. We had the EU Commissioner out 2 days ago saying this has got the portent of the 1930s. I mean, this is horrific. This is happening in Australia, and we've got a Prime Minister who's basically checked out because so many seats in Western Sydney and parts of Melbourne held by Labor are branch stacked to their eyeballs with Arab community members.
Well, the Prime Minister would be no doubt getting some pressure from some of those rather senior figures in his government who represent those seats. But it's not just he that's not showing enough leadership here. I mean, it goes right to the top, to the United Nations, doesn't it, Peter? I mean, you've got this conga line of criticism, not just recently, although it's been ratcheted up recently, but for years now, the Security Council particularly has had motion after motion before it criticising Israel. Some of those motions maybe had some merit. The majority were just nonsense. The rest of the world combined, as far as the criticism is concerned, tallied less than the critics against Israel in the Security Council. I mean, that tells you all you need to know about the base politics of the United Nations and where that international pinnacle body is. So, I mean, when you go all the way to the top politically, the Jewish state is just being belted here by people that I think largely don't even know what they're talking about. I mean, all this divestment, I mean, this is really the latest BDS movement thing. I mean, the people that are signing up to this, I'm sure most of them have no idea about the recent history of the Middle East, let alone the millennia of history, which is informative of where we are today in the Middle East. They've got no idea. They've just jumped on the bandwagon, as others have said already. I mean, this is now really getting to a tipping point, because if we just allow this to happen and we just say, oh, well, it's just a bit of an economic boycott, what next? I mean, what next? And if leaders aren't going to just draw that line in the sand, we are in trouble.